Welcome back to another episode of Performance Talk, and today we have a very special guest. I'm very honored that she would even come to the platform, but before I even say her name, I'm going to run off some of these credentials, not all of them, because then we take the whole episode. We're going to run some of them off, though, all right? So you started in dirt kart racing, then you went to sprint racing, then you did midget racing, and then NASCAR, correct? So
Uh,
then,
something like
yeah,
that,
something
yeah.
like that, something like flow.
Little dabble of this, little
Little,
dabble of that in between, yeah.
At the age of 16, the first female at the Manitoba Dirt Track Racing Championship, correct?
Yep.
And then around the age of 24, because I'm not trying to put your age out there unless you want to, first Canadian woman to win a NASCAR series, right?
I don't even know how old I was but sounds about right.
That's about right. All right.
Yeah.
And then you got Rookie of the Year honors and then reality TV show Racing Wives, Amber Balcaen. Congratulations and thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
No problem. So, first of all, we talk a lot on this channel about Formula One. No disrespect. Are you up to date on any type of Formula One? Do you ever watch Formula One?
You know what? I watched the first probably season and a half of the Netflix series, and that definitely made me way more into it.
Okay.
I try to keep up as much as possible. Like I follow Lewis and Max on
All
Instagram
right.
and stuff. But I wouldn't don't ask me about stats or anything because I'm not like that up to date.
Okay.
My primary focus since I race NASCAR, I watch a lot of NASCAR because that's where I can learn the most. But I respect all types of motorsports, and F1 is absolutely insane what they do. So definitely have a lot of respect for it. Just I can't say I've watched every single race, but
Right.
I do try to keep up as much as possible.
Okay. Oh, that's no shade there because you are involved. It's like if you play football, you're gonna watch football most of the time. You're not gonna watch a lot of basketball if you play football. So that's totally understandable. So I'm not gonna dive onto you on stats. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna ask you this. So for those who don't know, I'm gonna kind of catch them up and then let you take it off. Your mom and dad meet at the racetrack. So you come from a family that's like been racing for some time. So you're birthed into a family of racing.
Yep.
All right. Your dad, probably 30 plus years of racing experience, still currently participating in late model racing, correct?
Yep. Now like 40 plus actually.
40 plus. So he's like two decades in. He's like 4 decades in.
Exactly, because this is my 20th year of racing, which sounds crazy, but
it is like 2 decades of racing. Like, how do you feel about that?
It makes me feel old, but it also makes me feel grateful that I've been able to be in this sport for this long. I think if you asked me when I was young if I'd still be racing at this age, like I would hope so, but you never really know, right? Especially as athletes, you never really know how far your career is going to go. So it's a blessing. Definitely.
That is true because you never know according to injury or more catastrophic events, which will happen, and I hope that never happens to you. So looking at that, it seems like you've taken your career further than those before you. Like the apple came from the same tree, but you've rolling a little further away from that tree. What do you think the key to that is for you?
Yeah, I think so. I'm the first in my family to step away from being a local dirt track racer to the NASCAR industry, which is a completely different industry than your local dirt track racing.
Right.
So I had a lot to learn. Like, even though I've been around racing my whole life, the NASCAR industry is completely different. It's a completely different industry to learn. I didn't know anything about pavement racing or stock cars. Like, I raced open wheel on dirt. And so there was a lot for me to learn. But to answer your question about why you think I progressed forward I think it was because no one helped me. And when I say no one helped me, I mean financially. Like, my parents didn't help me. My grandparents didn't help me. My grandparents helped my cousin race, and he still races local dirt track. And I think I had a little bit of chip on my shoulders. Like, if no one's going to help me, let me show you what I can do on my own. So I think it was a little bit a lot of me just wanting to race as a career and see how far I could go in it and really live out my potential. And then I think the other side of it too was like, if you tell me I can't do something, if you're not going to help me get there, I'm going to work that much harder to make it happen. So I think that was a big part of it, was just kind of, I think that's like the deeper part of it. Okay. But my answer is usually, I couldn't see myself doing anything else, and I wanted to make this work, which is true as well. I went to school and went to university, got my 2-year degree, was going for my 4-year, and had an aha moment. And I was like, I don't want to work 9 to 5. I don't want to live a normal life. Like, I want to be a NASCAR driver living in North Carolina. And, I want to see what potential I have as an athlete. I want to live it out and I don't want to have any regrets in life. And I think that's why I just pushed forward, because it felt like that's what I needed to do in my life. And now it's cool being able to, send pictures of me at Daytona to my dad and stuff like that. So
a little poke, just a little bit. So like people that don't know, like Amber's been like running her own team since 10. She's funded her own race car since 10. She's been on sponsored, but so people don't think any child labor laws were broken.
Yeah.
Context on that, so they don't think like your dad just had you out in the streets.
Yeah. No, it wasn't like that at all. I should preface, and racing is a very expensive sport for those that don't know a lot about it. And even at a local level, it can take $50,000, $100,000 a year to race cars. Now, at the level I'm at now, which isn't even the top level, it takes me over $1 million to race in the series I'm at now. Granted, I am in a national NASCAR series. I'm not in the top NASCAR series. So I've had to raise all this sponsorship dollars on my own and get marketing partners and really learn how to become a businesswoman and a race car driver. So I'm an athlete, but also an entrepreneur. And so it's taken a lot of work. And most people in my position at the level I'm at in racing come from super wealthy parents. And 95% of the people I race against, their parents are writing the checks and fitting the bill for these races. So I've had to work a lot harder to get where I am, but it's also taught me so much about who I am as a person. It's built me so much character. And now, like, I'm proud of the woman I am because of all the heartaches I've went through, all the, adversity I've had to overcome, all the skills that I've built along the way. It's all made it worth it.
So that whole thing that you said is true. Like even in Formula One, like a lot of those racers come from parents that have money. So as far as them knowing, because I think you have some background in business too, right?
I do. Yeah, I went to school for business.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is, if there is and if there is not, is there a significant meaning for the number 10? Because is your current number 10?
No, my current number is 30, but there's kind of it all came full circle this year, and I'll share that with you. So I started out being number 10 when I started racing go-karts at 10 years old. My dad was number 10, but I also started at 10 years old. So a lot of it was because I wanted to be like my dad, but I also started at 10, so I thought that was pretty cool. So now you fast forward to here. So the last like 4 years of my career, like 2017 to 2021 was really rough in my career. I couldn't find the funding to race full time. I couldn't find the funding to race in the series that I wanted to race in. So I did a lot of one-off races. I went back to dirt track racing for a bit and was just kind of all over and just really struggling to find that sponsor to get me to a national level of NASCAR. Last year, I was able to find that sponsor. And now this year, they moved up to the national level with me. So basically what I've been working for my whole life, I've been able to achieve this year and race in NASCAR's National ARCA Series. I just turned 30.
Congratulations.
30. So that's how I say, like, I feel like my numbers went full circle because I started at 10 years old, was number 10, and then all my dreams kind of came true, at 30, and I'm number 30. So I think that's
dope.
Yeah.
That is dope. So the 30 was not even like you doing something.
No. So when it comes to NASCAR, like, so when you own your own cars in dirt track racing, you get to choose your own number. But when you race in NASCAR, the team already has a preset number. So you don't get to choose your number or anything like that, unless some of the lower series you can. But once you get to a top series, the teams own rights to the number and therefore have that number.
Oh, okay. So you don't get to take that number with you. That's a number that's prescribed to them regardless.
Right.
Oh, that's cool to know. All right. So through all these levels of racing that you've been through and you've been back and forth into some, which one would you say has been the most challenging for you, like skill wise? Which one's been the most challenging for you?
I think this one so far. I mean, every level you get to, you have to level up physically, mentally, spiritually, like you have to level up in every way. When you get to a level, like you work so hard to get to that level, but then once you're there, you got to work that much harder to compete and be a great athlete. You know, it's anytime you think it's going to be easy, it's not. It's tough. And I think what I'm really realizing now is I work so hard to get here, and now I'm like, I got to put it into high gear to work even harder to now achieve the results that I want to achieve. I think as an athlete, you are so excited just to get to that level. You know, like if you're a football player, you work hard just to make it to the NFL, and you're going to be grateful to be in the NFL. But once you're there, it's like it's not enough. You need to be the MVP now. You need to make the passes. You need to get the touchdowns. You know, and so that's where I'm at now. Where before, when I didn't have sponsorship, I'm like, just being in a national series, like you're going to be grateful and you're going to be happy. And now that I'm here, I'm like, yeah, but now I want to win. You know, and if I'm not winning, I'm mad. like, I want to see that progression. I want to see me progress throughout the year and get that win and be proud of my performance on the track as well. So it's just a lot of digging deep and working hard.
Okay, so you mentioned something about athlete. Now, I do, for one, view drivers as athletes. I don't know if they're all athletic to what some people standards would call athletic. Can they catch? Can they shoot? But still, I think there's skills that basketball and football players wouldn't have in a race car, right? So the athlete is there. What do you do as an athlete to prepare yourself before every race day, whether it be your skills, your training, your eating? What is Amber's weekly regimen for an athlete training to race in the NASCAR series?
Yeah, for sure. I'll take you through it. So I kind of compartmentalize. I have like this own championship formula I created for myself. And I feel like if I kind of stick to that, then I'm on the right track to achieving the results I want to achieve. And it looks something like, so we'll break it down to fitness first, physical fitness. So cardio and strength training. I usually work out twice a day, cardio and strength training. Then in that, I have sensory training, which is kind of mind training. So in the cars, we're going, close to 200 miles an hour. Things are happening fast around us. We need to be able to react quick. We need to peripheral see what's going on in front of us, right in front of us, like far in front of us. And so I work an hour and a half a day just on sensory training with a driver trainer. And then I do about hour and a half to 2 hours worth of physical fitness. So that's what I do for training on the physical side. Then for practice, we can't really just go on a track and practice like you could with throw a football on a field and catch and practice normally, because it costs us thousands and thousands of dollars to practice. And there are a lot of rules and regulations in our series that doesn't allow us to practice. So drivers utilize this simulator called iRacing, and it's essentially a video game of the exact replica of the tracks that we'll be going to, and that's where we can kind of visually learn the track, kind of get an idea of what our throttle, braking points, shifting points, all that will be on the track. So the track that I'll be going to that weekend, I pull it up on iRacing, get my reps in there. I usually spend an hour or 2 hours on that a day. Then we go into obviously nutrition. I eat really good. My husband's a football player, so we're on the same schedule and plans. Yeah. And then for more of the mind training, in addition to the sensory, I read 10 pages of self-development book every day. Right now I'm reading Limitless, which is about learning faster, opening up your brain capacity to be able to learn quicker, faster, and better, which is what I want to do this year, because all 20 tracks I'm going to this year are brand new to me. I've never been to before. So I need to adapt and learn really fast. I'm trying to think what else I do. Visualization. That's part of kind of training and knowing what the track's going to be like, feel like. I watch a lot of video. So past races, in-car video of drivers from past races, and then the past races I'll be going to. So my next race is Talladega, so I'll watch the last 5 years of Talladega in my series. And then on top of that, I have notes of all the tracks of what the surface is like, what's the banking degree, how large is the track, like every detail of the track and what the car, other people's past notes of what the car did, what adjustments they made. Like
it's crazy.
I could go on, and then so we do that before the race to learn the track, and then after the race debrief of our day and how practice went, how qualifying went, how the race went. So it's funny when people are like, "You're a race car driver. You race on weekends. What do you do all day?" I'm like, "I
like
my time."
like a lot.
Yeah.
Like
On top of on top of interviews and sponsorship, negotiations and all the business side of it as well. So yeah, there's a lot that drivers and crew do to prepare for these races.
Right. So
in addition to going to the shop and getting fit in the cars and working with your crew and having your meetings and all that kind of stuff.
That's what I was going to ask you about next. So how big is the disconnect from not being able to practice on the track because of regulations and guidelines and financials to when you actually get on the track? What kind of disconnect you like? Oh, you know what? This is way different than what I even prepare in a sim. The notes, watching, like this little bit is different.
Yeah, that's the thing is you can do all these things to prepare, but at the end of the day, being in a race car going 180 mile an hour is completely different than anything else, right? Like you're not going to get a real feel for it, a true feel for it unless you're in the car. And that's why seat time is so important in racing, because the more racing your racing is your practice essentially. The more races you can do, the better you can hone your skills. And when you're not in the seat all the time, it's really hard to hone your skills. And that's why the last from 2017 to 2021, me being out of the seat so much really impacted my ability to improve my skills. And that's something I'm still like fighting to try to get as much seat time as possible. Now that I have a full season sponsorship, it helps me have that confidence to be like, all right, I screwed up this race. I got 18 more races to go to make up for it, So I'm very thankful for that. But it is hard going from doing all those little things and being, once you're in the car on the track, it is completely different. But there's kind of that 1% rule, and if it's going to make me 1% better, then I'm going to do it.
Then you're going to do it. Okay, so I've noticed you got 2 races in, you got 18 left to go. This previous race you had an incident, but even before then you had a much larger incident that had you questioning some things. And then this right here, big congrats, shout out to you, Jordan, for the marriage. I really big shout out to you all. But with that being said, have you ever seen the movie Rush with Nicky Loud, James Hunt?
Yes.
Okay. So Nicky has this moment where he's getting married and he says now that he really feels he has something to lose, he doesn't know if he could do it. Yeah. Getting married, did that bring about like, yo, now I'm really legitimate and bonded with somebody in soul, mind, and body? Like, can I still continue to take these risks? And even after you came out of the previous incident, which was pretty bad. If you I won't pry, but just that dynamic for you.
Yeah, I think like there's 2 parts to that. So in 2020, it was when I got in my really bad crash, was in the hospital. That was when I was racing dirt midgets. They're a lot more unsafe than the cars I'm racing now. They're open wheel, super light, they flip. People get really, really badly injured every year in those cars. And now I'm in a Nascar, which is a stock car, a full body car, full roll cage. Yes, we're going faster, but the cars are so much safer. Our safety equipment is amazing. We haven't had a death in NASCAR since Dale Earnhardt in 2001.
Right.
So I feel very, very safe in our race cars. So for me, when we got married, it was almost like, all right, I want to work harder because I want to be able to buy a house and have money for our kids. And like, I want to work harder than ever. But when I raced on dirt and had that big crash, that was the first time I'd ever had said, I'm done racing, because we had just got engaged and I was laying there in the ambulance and I couldn't feel my arms or legs and I thought I was paralyzed. And I started freaking out and I was like, I'm not going to be able to walk down the aisle at my own wedding because I'm paralyzed. And thankfully they shot me with adrenaline. My feelings came back. I was able to move again, but I still couldn't walk for like a week, It was bad. So that made me definitely question things. Mm-hmm. But like I said, now that I'm in NASCAR where I feel a lot safer, like I feel good.
You feel good. So you're comfortable with that now, like
definitely.
Especially because you're right. Those cars are like in a constant power slide.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And like when they flip, it's like
They don't stop.
Forget gymnastics. Like, it's crazy, and the cars coming apart. So yeah, I totally understand that, and with the fact that you're going faster in NASCAR, but your safety equipment is by far umpteenth amount higher than that. Yeah. So like with you, now that you've been in NASCAR, I'm gonna give you something that I definitely want to get across in this interview so people can understand, because I think this is a dynamic that exists and a situation that exists. But I think I don't want to say afforded, because it's not like afforded, like you have an experience, or you go through experiences that some people don't get the full blast of. First off, you're a woman participating in NASCAR, which some closed-minded people would see as a men's club. Yeah. All right. Your husband is a black man. All right. Yeah. And NASCAR has its undertones for historically with racism. I don't want you to comment on the organization itself, because I don't want anybody twisted. But what I am interested in is what brought you to, with like your upbringing and your past and your current, to have the mindset that I wish everybody had, not to judge somebody on color but character, and not to grade somebody's skill according to gender. Like what got into you in order for you to be that type of person, which I salute you for.
That's it. I've never gotten that question before, so thank you. That's a great question. No, I think it was the confidence that my parents instilled in me, just saying, it doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, where you come from. It matters how you treat people. It matters your work ethic. It matters, what you believe your potential is, and you can do anything you set your mind to. Like, my parents have always instilled that in me. So for me, like being a kid at 10 years old, I saw my cousins race go-karts. Yeah, they were all boys, but I wanted to race go-karts too because it looked fun. And I think the number one piece of advice I always give to other female drivers is take gender out of the equation, because everyone's going to be, what's it like to be a female driver? You're a female driver. No, you're a driver, and do everything you can do to be the best driver you can be. When you put that helmet on, the car doesn't know what color your skin is. If you have lady parts or man parts, like, it doesn't know. It knows that it's got two hands on the wheel and it wants to go forward, right? And that's the most amazing part about our sport, is men and women can compete at the same level. It doesn't matter your race, your gender, anything. Everyone can compete in NASCAR. Like, NASCAR really is for everyone. And socially, they've had to make a lot of adjustments throughout the last couple of years to make it feel more inclusive. And I was very naive to things like the Confederate flag before, until I was with my husband, and he explained to me that this makes me feel uncomfortable when I see this, and I don't want to go to the racetrack because of it, and this is why it makes me feel uncomfortable. And then so when last year they banned it, it was like, this is awesome. Like, this is like, there's change, and like NASCAR wants to change, and they want it to be inclusive, and this is amazing. And we've seen so much forward progression in our sport, and I absolutely love it, because I want to be proud of the sport I'm in, and I am proud that they're making the right changes. And of course there's still people, as fans, there's still people in the industry itself that don't believe that I should be in the car. There's still people that, when I walk with my husband, look at us like, why are you two together? But it's like, I mean, we grew up in Canada. We've known each other for 15 years. We grew up 5 minutes away from each other. Like, I look at him as my husband, and he looks at me as his wife. There's no, it's just, we don't see it like that. I mean, we grew up in Canada, where every single one of our friends is from somewhere else. It's like the most multicultural place ever. So we didn't really grow up seeing that. And I think that's why I was so naive coming to the South, because I was like, what do you mean? Like, everyone loves everyone. Why would anyone have a problem with this? Like, I was like ignorance is bliss type of thing. Like, until I went to the South, and then seeing that like racism is a thing. Like, it does happen, because I hadn't seen it in Canada where I grew up, but I also was not with a black man either. So it took being somewhere where racism is a little bit more prevalent, being with Jordan, to really open my eyes and learn and be aware of it all.
You answered that question with so many good points. I hope people take some things away from that. So with you being from Canada, I got a little something to ask you, because it's like you really were, to me, on the fence to where, how did you decide? Because I know circle dirt track racing, cool. but you almost could have went like more UK, Formula One, maybe Indy. What really drew you? Was it just the background of circle track racing and then kind of that natural evolution to NASCAR? Or is there something that you didn't really see there that you really liked there versus going like NASCAR to Formula One?
Yeah, I think like forever, I just wanted to race dirt. Like my whole goal in life was to race a 410 sprint car. And then I did well and was winning races. And that's when the NASCAR Diversity Combine called me and was like, hey, have you ever thought of NASCAR? And like you said, being from Canada, I was like, I didn't even think NASCAR could be possible for me. And then once I started like looking more into it and trying, I'm like, yeah, like I want this. Like I obviously watched NASCAR my whole life growing up. And I grew up all circle track racing. And even when I raced go-karts, I raced in the States. Like I always only raced in the States. I would like my dad would take me out of class on Wednesday afternoon. We would drive down to North Dakota and race and then drive back after. I'd go to school Thursday morning. So I've always raced in the States. So to me, I looked at it as what is the biggest stage of racing in America, in North America, and it was NASCAR. And I was like, I want to get there.
Okay. Do you ever see yourself maybe trying Indy?
You know, I get that question a decent amount, and I don't think so. Honestly, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think if you asked me 5 years ago, I'd say yes, definitely, 100%.
And why do you think that is? Maybe because you still weren't like committed to one or the other, and if that was what came up, okay.
Yeah, and I think when you're younger, you're just a little bit more ballsy, and like to your question before, like I have a husband now, you know, we'll want kids eventually, and NASCAR is so much safer than IndyCar and so much safer than Formula One. And I have no experience in road course. I have no experience in open wheel pavement cars. So just going off my experience and what I'm passionate about NASCAR. I love it. And I love driving these cars. I love being at Daytona. I love oval tracks. So to me, it feels more natural to be in NASCAR.
Okay. Now I'm gonna say this. I don't want Jordan to be like, man, what he doing? Like I don't want to, because I don't know which person might be pushing or not if nobody's pushing. But now that y'all together and you did say kids, like assuming that could be possible. I'm not pushing on nobody. But like you both participate in a sport that has risk. You participate in driving, which definitely has extreme risk. Jordan participates in football, which I got two sons that play D1, and I got a son that he's going to have a surgery due to his torn label, and that has risk. Like both career-ending or life-threatening risk. How are you all going to manage that when you have kids? Like, do you think about that? Like,
so we always joke and we're like, all right, so our boys are going to be football players, but they're going to be kickers because kickers don't get hurt and they have a long career and they make money.
That's true.
We always joke that. I always say I don't want my kids to race because it's just a struggle. It's a grind. It costs a lot of money and it's really hard to make it. But at the end of the day, we'll support whatever our kids want to do. Cool. But yeah, we do always joke our kid's going to be a kicker.
Yo, you're not lying about that. But I mean, that's a mental pressure because for some reason, all you do is kick in practice, you kick in the game. How you miss that?
Yeah, that's true.
So for all the young ladies out there watching, because I think I just did a piece today on an empowerment of similarity. Like, I think there's power if I tell my daughter, like, she can do this, like she goes to the car shows with me. She's like, I'm just helping daddy with the car. But when she sees a woman that has a custom car, now she sees somebody that looks similar to her, like, now I can have a custom car. So when she sees you and like Sonya Sly, she's like thinking now, like, oh, I can drift and I can do NASCAR.
Yeah.
What do you say to those maybe fathers or mothers, especially like fathers, that aren't like exposing their daughters to different things for them to understand and see similarities to them, that they can venture and be great in a multitude of things? Like, what would you say to them? Not the little girls, but fathers and mothers that are not doing that just because they want to have these stereotypes.
I think first of all, before you believe something, you need to see it, and you need to see that can be done and can be possible. And it is so important for girls to see that and to introduce your kids to different aspects of life. Like, I was really lucky, and when I was younger, my parents would take me to the racetracks all over, and I would see and experience so many different things that most kids wouldn't. Did I have a normal childhood? No, but going to new places just opened up my mind to what could be possible for my life. And I think to parents, you cannot put restrictions on what your kids do. If you want them to be a doctor, but they want to be a football player, you need to let them be a football player, because you are robbing them of their life. You're robbing them of their potential, of their heart, of their dream. You need to allow your kids and let your kids do whatever they want to in life. And whether it's going to be easy path, hard path, let them figure it out. If it's a hard path, it's going to make them a better person, and they're going to become more confident in themselves. They're going to build skills. They're going to be a better person because of it. Let them go through it. And I think that's just the biggest thing, is you need to let your kids be who they are. You can't control them. They need to make mistakes. They need to learn from those mistakes, because it's going to build them into who they are. And I think, like, my parents tell me all the time how proud they are of me. And I always say, if it weren't for you guys just supporting me on whatever thing they just support me on whatever I want to do. Like, it doesn't matter if I say I want to be an artist, I want to be they're like, okay, Amber, that's what you want to do, we support you. Like, when I dropped out of university, my parents were they really thought that I should go to school. And like, they would tell me what they thought, but they would never tell me I had to do it, kind of thing.
Force it on you. Gotcha.
Yeah. And they really, my parents were just like, we just really think, education is a good thing. And so I got my 2-year when I was in school at university. When I dropped out, I came home to my parents that day and I said, I'm dropping out of university and I want to become a professional race car driver. Like, I want to make this a career. And they were like, what? Like, no one's ever done that in our family. And they're like, it's gonna be really hard, right? And like, I had no idea how actually hard it was gonna be. Like, I thought it was gonna be way easier, but I was like, yeah, like, I know it's gonna be hard. And they're like, well, if this is what you want to do, and like, this is what's gonna make you feel fulfilled, then like, we 100% support you. And I think them allowing me to be who I am as a person allowed me to grow into the person that I wanted to become.
That's cool. So Amber, like, let these people know, the viewers know where they can reach you, keep up with you, see you, like, just support you. Let them know all of that right now.
Yeah, for sure. So you guys can follow me at Amber Balcaen 10 on Instagram, Twitter. My Facebook is Amber Balcaen Racing. My website is amberbalcaenracing.com. I have some cool t-shirts and stuff on there you guys can get. And then my YouTube, which I'm just getting more videos on now, is Amber Balcaen as well.
Hey, so listen, I'm going to be keeping track. I know you 2 races in. Last race didn't end the way you wanted it to. You got 18 more races left, so we're going to keep track of that, see how that's going. Big shout out to you and Jordan. Much congratulations on that. And I'm wishing both of you all the best going forward, especially in the race career, because I'm a car guy. Hey, I'm hoping you knock it out and just keep growing and knocking out these goals. I just want to see you and other women like really show like it's about like we can do this just on a level of anything. Like, I really do applaud that. So congratulations to you for where you've made it, and I'm wishing more and much success to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you. This has been an awesome interview. You've asked amazing questions. I really enjoyed it. So thank you.
Definitely. And I appreciate you joining. Everybody else, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube and Amber's YouTube and her Instagram. Big shout out. Follow her on the series. See how far she goes. And everybody, thanks for joining another episode of Performance Talk. Peace. Thanks for tuning in and watching another video here at Wolfpack Performance. Check out some of my other content on Formula One issues, our topics, and our DIY products on how to customize your vehicle. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. See you soon.